Blue Jean Night on Better Country 101.7 The Bull. My name's Wyatt. Good to be hanging out with you here this morning as we are about ready to wrap up our 8 o'clock hour. But before we do, we are going to have a great conversation with some folks who are kind enough to join us. We got to talking off the air. One's from one coast and one's from the other, but they are meeting here in Burlington to talk about the same kind of subject matter, which will be on display tonight at the Capitol Theater, 7 o'clock. You can check out Ricky Ray, and Robert G. Rose, who are kind enough to join us here in the studio. They're going to be talking a little bit about things going on in Ukraine. Guys, good to have you guys here. Welcome to Burlington. How are you guys doing?
Thank you.
Good. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about what brings you to Burlington. It's kind of you guys' work. Now, you guys have worked separately, but you guys are working on the same subject of things going on over in Ukraine. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, we're both independent filmmakers, Rob and I, and we've always focused on travel filmmaking up to this point, but both of us became passionate about Ukraine. And I think we both went into this war as just independent solo journalists. So we'll be showing our clips, basically 5 minutes to 10 minutes each, and talking to each other about our travels there and the Ukrainian war situation.
Because you guys have got two different projects you're working on there. What was your project again then?
So my project's called Be Safe: Stories from Ukraine.
Okay, and then you've got you got Robert here, whose story is My Summer in Ukraine, which I believe is a 4-part docuseries that's being broadcast. I mean, that's a lot of stuff that you've got covered to make it a 4-part docuseries, right?
Yeah, I mean, eventually, we'll put it all together like a film. But yeah, it's currently airing. The 4th chapter airs this weekend, and we're on WQAD, the ABC affiliate out of Davenport, I think 5:30 in the morning on Saturdays.
Okay.
I hope I got that right. They can check out our website, rawtravel.tv, where to watch. But basically, yeah, it's a 4-part docuseries, and it's about my experience in Ukraine during the summer of 2023. So I went to Ukraine, well after the full invasion had occurred. But Rick went when it was still very fresh, and he went in the spring of 2022. When I bet it was still cold, I would imagine, right?
It was cold. No electricity.
And no electricity. So I kind of had it easy. I've been to Ukraine in the winter, and I was like, you know what? I think I'll wait till it gets summer. So that's why I went in the summertime.
Well, and you and I talked earlier off air, Robert. Robert had been there before. You had never been there before. What kind of got you into Ukraine that made you say, I want to get involved and kind of cover this, even though you'd never been to the country before?
Well, I just saw the war breaking out in Bucha and the suburbs of Kyiv, and I felt that it was such an injustice to the people of Ukraine. My son was part of a rock band that toured Ukraine.
Really?
And he said to me, I've been everywhere in Europe, and the Ukrainians are the nicest people you'll ever meet. And I almost felt as though, I was defending something that my son had experienced, but I saw them with their pets, evacuating their towns, desperate refugees moving across the country, and I just had to drop what I was doing. I know it sounds crazy. My wife thought it was crazy.
No, I mean...
But I had to drop what I was doing and just go. I have a skill set as a filmmaker and a storyteller, and I knew that, even though the Russians had just left Kyiv and the suburbs, that I could find stories there that would make a difference.
We're talking to Rick Ray and Robert Rose. They're going to be at the Capitol Theater here tonight talking about things going on there in Ukraine. Now, again, you guys have done your own things, and you're kind of going to be interviewing one another. How's tonight going to go there at the Capitol Theater?
We'll find out. We've never done this before.
No, we're good friends, though. I mean, we get along great, and we've been friends since before we both went. So
kind of talk to us, I guess, a little bit about like how you approach going, and we can start with you, Rick, and then we can go over to Robert. Like your approach to what you saw, kind of how you wanted to present what you're presenting with your work that you got.
That's a great question. So very often in Ukraine, you see these big entourages, CNN and Fox News, and these reporters show up in motorcades basically, and they do a stand-up in front of the rubble, and they move on in 5 minutes. My objective was to mic up the people who were there, spend time with them, let them walk me through their day-to-day lives and tell their own stories in their own words. They were so appreciative of people just spending time to basically depict what they'd been through. It's a rarity.
And Robert, is yours kind of a similar thing, or what's your approach to this when you got your docuseries coming out?
Yeah, I'd say very much so. Because I had been to Ukraine before, my videographer was from Ukraine, and she was actually a two-time refugee. And I met her in 2019, Anastasia, and her family had come from the Donbass region in 2014 when Russia initially invaded the eastern part of Ukraine. So that is what got me started. So I knew some people going in. I also hooked up with a humanitarian. He's a Marine from Arizona. His name's Mark Carey. And similar to Rick, he dropped what he was doing just to go help. And, you know, he does humanitarian missions. He works with a lot of the soldiers, getting them what they need, night vision, things like that, things that you can legally bring into the country. And so very similar, I embedded with them, but through them, I met all these locals. And, you know, they told me their stories, and it's a heavy burden to bear, man, because they take the time, they go through this emotional trauma to retell you the stories. And I have that responsibility to make sure I do as good of a job as I possibly can. So I hope I did them justice.
Well, I'm sure you guys did a wonderful job there, and we're looking forward to seeing what you guys have to present there tonight. Going on Capitol Theater tonight, Ricky Ray and Robert Rose joining us here on Better Country 101.7 The Bull. They are filmmakers. They are very good at what they do, and they are going to be putting that on full display here tonight. Anything else you guys want to add before we let you go here on this Tuesday?
Just want to say it's at 7 p.m. and it's absolutely free.
Absolutely free. Yeah. So swing on by Capitol Theater. Why not check this out? You hear a lot about it on the news outlets, so why not get an up-close and personal view of from a couple of guys who are very passionate about this topic there. Guys, thanks so much for stopping by and sharing your stories. We look forward to seeing what you guys have to offer tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that tonight. That's going on Capitol Theater, 7 o'clock. Don't want to miss out on that. And it is free of charge, so why not give it a chance? Coming up, we're going to kick off a 30-minute bull ride here in just a second. We got new music on the way. Dustin Lynch and Jelly Roll right here on Better Country 101.7 The Bull.